We've been following the Supreme Court Second Amendment case, New York Rifle and Pistol Club versus Corlett, since they announced they were going to take it. Now, just a quick reminder, this case is in regards to two men in the state of New York applied for a license to carry. In the state of New York, you have to apply for a license to carry. They were denied because they had to prove that their lives were in danger in order to even qualify for that permit. So they then sued the state of New York, and now it's made it to the Supreme Court, which really opens up either a state's right to tell you you can't carry or constitutional carry coast to coast. It's a very, very significant case. With that being said, if you've been following this channel, we've talked about this case several times, and the last thing we talked about was all the briefs that have been filed by the opposition towards the Second Amendment, those who are against giving a person their right to carry, and a lot of briefs from a lot of different people from around the country. What we now see as we enter close to this case, it will be on trial November 3rd. It's only a few short weeks away. And as we get closer to that, what we've seen now is the attorneys for the men trying to get their carry permit have now filed their brief in response to all of that, and it's very, very significant what they're saying. So we're just going to kind of dig through that a little bit on this episode. First and foremost, this all revolves around the constitutional right to keep and bear arms, is what this argument is, and that what New York is doing, again, this is the argument for the case for the Second Amendment. What New York is doing is they're essentially saying that their rights vanish when they get into populated areas to carry. So what they've told these men is, yeah, we'll give you a right to carry in a wilderness area, but you can't carry in a city. So they're saying ultimately that your constitutional right, according to New York, is saying, well, that ends when you get into a populated area, and that they are specifically ignoring constitutional text and rewriting history when it comes to the Second Amendment and how it is applied to this country, specifically in court cases. They argue that there's never been a moment in U.S. history that the carrier's rights that the petitioners are arguing for or are seeking have ever been denied to them. This is this is unconstitutional, in other words, when it comes to U.S. history. Also, they're attaching the arguments that the petitioners did not make. In other words, they're saying that, what all these briefs are arguing is things that the petitioner is not even arguing at all. They want the right to carry. They're not arguing that against gun violence or anything else that these briefs are then quoting. They're arguing that they need the right to carry, and that because of things like gun violence. And they're also arguing that New York has effected a complete prohibition on carrying handguns by a regime suffused with discretion. This is a significant thing that they're saying, is that ultimately New York is run by a regime. It's run by a regime, and they're essentially put a statewide prohibition on a person's right to carry. And they also then say that the states claim that surety could be demanded of anyone who sought to carry a firearm in a public place breached by peace itself. In other words, what they're saying is that that you have to show that surely you're in danger. I mean, you don't know you're in danger most of the time until you're actually in danger, is what this argument is ultimately saying, and that New York's restrictive carry regime is what they're quoting them as, has really breached peace itself for the Constitution. So very fascinating argument, and we're going to continue to follow this. We will definitely follow it close. Now, again, I am traveling west to do some meetups, but we will still follow this, and on November 3rd, we will definitely be posting what it is that we discovered about that case that day, and we'll probably talk about this a little in between too. So love to hear your thoughts on all this. Put in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel to Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns, and as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.